Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I feel like we should have red spotlights going off right now as we begin, because we are going to talk about red flags. Now, we're picking up from last time when we got together with her. By the way, she is an amazing psychotherapist and has so much insight. And we started talking about these red flags in relationships last time. And there's just so many more. And I love getting the feedback from somebody like her. By the way, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com if you ever want to reach out to us. But getting it from somebody who's with her talents, her experience on these situations that many of us have been in relationships, I find fascinating. I learned a lot from her so far. Susie Engel is back with us. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine, Steve. Thank you. Thank you so much. And how are you?
Really good. Really good. Looking forward to digging into potentially more red flags and seeing wherever we go from that beginning. The red flag. I just want to go back on something. I'm a big proponent of listening to your intuition. I believe we all have intuition. Many times we ignore our intuition, and it's there to support us. It's evolutionary, why we're still here, because it's telling you the right answer. But a lot of times we ignore it with those red flags. Why do we go against our better beliefs and ignore these red flags when they're right in front of our face?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, in a broad stroke, I would say there are two main reasons. One is somewhere along the line from very early on, and we're always talking about coming up in the world, somewhere along the line, doubt or some deep, deep insecurity about ourselves started and became a pattern in our development and a pattern in our, sorry, I'm just going to shut this off because it keeps singing. A pattern in our relationships, that doubt, that self-doubt. Somewhere along the line, it was kind of injected in certain people. I feel like I froze.
You did. Maybe you'll come back. Oh, no. That's so interesting. Never had that before. You can still hear us, right?
I can hear you.
That's so odd. Yeah. Usually it comes back. That's so strange. You know what? Why don't we do this? We're going to take a short break of not more than a minute or so.
Oh, no. Are you frozen? Oh.
Now you're back.
Okay.
All right. So now we don't have to take a break. Okay, beautiful. You all
My
good?
internet connection is unstable. Okay. Well, somewhere along the line, just in terms of growing up and coming up in the world, and like I said, when I got frozen in that terrible look, it's almost like an injection of self-doubt or insecurity. And that's one reason why people don't trust themselves or don't trust their gut. Maybe there are three reasons or more, but in the most simplistic way. Then another is, and we talked a little bit about this at the end of last podcast, is that that we get these subtle messages from just day-to-day experiences. And if I had a great idea and wanted to please my parents and picked all of the fruit off the tree because I thought it was a lime tree and we could make a key lime pie, and come to find out they were underripe oranges and I wrecked the oranges for the season. You know, parents could have said, oh my goodness, what a great idea. But next year, wait till they turn orange because they're oranges, not limes. Or I could have been scolded to the extent where I felt shame. And that's just a small example of how our trusting ourselves becomes extinguished within us.
It's a shame.
Yeah. And if we have a series or chronic experiences like that, like I had a great time in the school concert, but my parents scolded me because I was fidgety, not because it was just a great night and they couldn't just celebrate that. There's more pile on. Like I can't trust myself to just be myself and have fun. I mean,
Mm.
those are just broad strokes, but I think that they are very informative to us in this conversation.
It's almost as if your brain is the conduit to your intuition, wherever your intuition is. A lot of people say it's the gut feeling, right? So, you're connected to it, but with your childhood experiences, life in general, faith in yourself, the connection gets severed or there's
Yeah.
static along the way where you should have a direct right to your head, to your stomach. Not going to do that. I'm good. Moving on to the next thing. You get
Yes.
the mixed signals and all this stuff sort of just gets in the way.
I like what you're saying too, because that's the disconnect. Something that's natural in our blueprint
Yeah.
becomes severed. And I think that's a great way for people to see that. And also, there's a ton of science about the brain gut health and connection.
Oh yeah. They say
Tons of,
it's like the stomach is the second brain. Yeah. It's they're talking to each other all the time.
yeah.
All right. Red flag or not. Red flag or not. These are scenarios that I've heard of, I've encountered. Most of these are real. So you got a couple that just got engaged and now they're talking about their future. And one half of the couple reveals that they want to keep all the bank accounts completely separate. Everything's going to be separate. That's their choice. The other person, not really on board for that. We're a couple. It should be merged together. Red flag or not.
I do not think that that's a red flag.
Okay.
I think that the person who wants to keep his or her money separate is exerting their independence. And it's not like I wouldn't assume that it's any kind of message about distrust or, um, or, or a lack of support, financial support, or
Right.
support in general, just symbolically to the couple. I wouldn't view it that way. Now, what I would wonder is what the other person who's not on board with it is really saying about that. That would be my curiosity.
Well, let's just say they're beside you. They're in front of you. They're on the couch and you're counseling them. And one of them says, I don't believe that. I feel that we're now a team and that our assets should be pulled together. And the other person says, no, I don't believe that. What you earn is yours. What you earn is yours. And that's the way I feel it should be. What would you suggest to them at that point?
Yeah, I would go into, because this is my modality, I would say to each of them to both think about how their thought process has come to be. And what was modeled for them. That's a very simple way to view that. Or what was encouraged in them. So like my first feeling was the person who wants their independence is probably got a good, like, I'm going to use the word injection again, a good shot of encouragement when that person wanted to be independent or forge their independence or try new things, even as a youngster. If they just said, hey, give it a go, let us know how it works out, so they're still in this kind of roadmap to I'm independent and this is not a measure of anything more than let's keep the finances separate. Now, the person who's saying, I'm not on board with that, I would say, and how did you come to learn that? how did you come to learn the teamwork? Because that's cooperation. And then I would be listening to both of them. Are they viewing their future relationship, if they're just engaged, as uh, as a team, a partnership, that type of bond that betters? I mean, I always consider a great relationship as continuously flourishing, like blossoming, like it's two of us coming together, and within that interaction, we get even better together.
Do you feel that there's potentially more at play here between the two of them, where the person wants to keep the financial situation separate, that there may be something going back to their childhood, or maybe that's the way they were brought? There's a reason.
Yes. Yeah. And for both of them, I think they look very different, but they're speaking of something. They're speaking of some trust stuff. I would just conjecture. Now, it's not my place to conjecture. That's why I try to be a very good listener and keep probing, like, how did you come to this? And where did this all start for you? And then between these conversations, the two of them may come to some sort of compromise.
So ultimately, there's a reason for this. It's not, there's a potentially, we don't want to label anybody, but potentially there's some trust issues at hand here with the person that wants to keep the finances segregated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And nothing wrong with that.
Or not even the person who wants to keep it segregated. It could be trust stuff with the person who wants to merge. The person who wants to merge may be interpreting this as, you're keeping me out of this. Where do I fit in the relationship? And it all comes down to how much do we trust ourselves. So if we trust ourselves well enough and my partner wants to keep everything separate, then I would be comfortable with that.
When you say trust ourselves, boy, we went deep here. When you say trust ourselves,
yeah.
How do you mean? Because I'm looking at it as one person is thinking one thing, the other is thinking the other. There's potentially trust issues pre-existing from their upbringing.
Yes, absolutely. And through our upbringings, also, we gradually are developing a relationship within ourselves, a relationship to ourselves. I always reference, that old movie, it's with Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder. Yes. Girl Interrupted.
Okay.
I think of that movie, and I think the main character is Winona Ryder. And I think of that character as symbolizing Girl Interrupted. It was the development of her relationship with herself that was key to her moving forward in her life.
So, I don't want to go to another potential red flag in a moment.
Right. We go off.
Just one quick question about this. The person that doesn't want to merge the funds, keep it separate. Do you think that they have trust issues within themselves?
Yes. Because I think that, they could. I don't know because I'm not sitting with them. But they could have trust issues because they want to maybe guard their earnings or control. And if they have trust issues, maybe they're not feeling so in control internally, which is also like a whole nother podcast.
I never thought of it that way. But ultimately, did it or very probable that their trust of themselves and the whole situation does come from their upbringing? It's a really good chance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Red flag or not, couple's been together a year. One has never been to the other one's place. Red flag or not?
I would say that's a red flag. I don't know if the person is ashamed of something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the person is deceiving the other person. But I think like after being I should say, I think after being together in a relationship for a year, it would seem like a red flag to not
I'm feeling you there.
be
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
I
After a
don't think it
year,
is.
and it could be that person will cut them some slack, like you said, is maybe embarrassed about where they
Embarrassed.
live and whatever that might be. But ultimately, that's who you are. And if the other person is not going to be a part of your life, let's say they're going to judge you, then you don't belong with them.
Good. Yes, I agree. So, but then this person has some work to do because if this person is so fearful of being judged,
Right.
that's their work, that person's work to do.
I'm
Yeah.
with you on this one. Red flag. you know,
Yeah.
a year. Yeah, that's a red flag. So let's say you meet someone, they're married, they say they're about to get divorced, they're, started the process, but then they revealed that they had cheated on their spouse. Now you just met them, and it looks like something could blossom out of the meeting with this person. Again, they're saying, I'm going to get divorced. And they revealed that, I cheated on him one time, would never do it again. Red flag or not.
So did the person who cheated tell the significant other, like confess? Or am I seeing both people in this couple?
No, let's say you're one.
Okay.
You're the one that is completely single. You met somebody who is married. They say they're getting divorced, and they admit it. I cheated. I cheated on my spouse. Red flag or not?
I would say red flag.
Yeah.
I don't think it's uncommon that people cheat. Like, I would have to like get into why couldn't you have said, I'm really unhappy and feel like I want to seek out different relationships at this point. And before I do anything like that, I'd rather tell you I want a divorce or I want to move on from this relationship. I like a person like that. On the other hand, I wonder what's going on in the relationship where that person is looking someplace else and not addressing maybe what the real issue is. What is the real issue? Because it's a band-aid sometimes to go and cheat. Just like people drink to feel good or something, like that doesn't really help a situation. But if you look at what's really going on, like how are you getting pushed out or turned off by this relationship would be an important thing. And it's a red flag if an adult, I'm not talking about somebody who's 20, but a more seasoned adult can't start questioning those deeper questions.
So that being said,
I don't even know if I answered that one.
no, yeah, we're on the red flag
Okay.
here. We're on the red flag. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Now you can't say, but for the most part, would you say that could be true?
It could be, but I don't think so. I think that it's usually what's pushing this person away from the relationship or what's attracting this person to something outside of the relationship, which just means you have to work on relationships because if it becomes once a cheater, always a cheater, then this person is just cycling and not really growing in life. And that's just not, I really don't believe that about people, or else I wouldn't be doing this job. I really believe that people get this urge to say, I should really figure this out.
So let's go to why people cheat. And that being said, it's often been said, well, it's because they're they're trying to get something they're not getting in the relationship. Is that always the case?
No, because it might be right in front of them. It might be in this relationship and they're just blind to it. And I think this is what the common theme of all these red flags are, is if somebody thinks that another person is going to fill a void within them, if somebody thinks another person is going to make them happy, if somebody thinks their lifelong partner is going to complete them, not to quote another movie, but that's just a total superficial way of looking at life. I mean, the bottom line is, and here we are back at our relationships with ourselves or within us, is we have to be a whole person, kind of like the person who wants to have an independent bank account. We have to be our own whole unit. Even though we're always a work in progress, I'm fine with that. We're always evolving and changing and growing. But if we think that this person outside of us is going to make us feel better, it's not going to work. And so we are going to flail or flounder or look to other people or other things to give us something that we're searching for because we don't know that it's right within us.
So scale of 1 to 10, topic of cheating. When people are unfaithful, scale of 1 to 10, it's 10 or 1 that they are acting on something from their childhood. What do I mean by that? Let's say somebody cheats because they have unresolved issue with a parent. So they're not getting the satisfaction of resolving that issue or that feeling with their partner or spouse. That didn't work the way I thought it was going to. They don't even know. So I'm gonna find somebody else that's gonna fill that void. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being every time somebody cheats, it's because of unresolved issues from their childhood, as we identified before. I know the answer is not going to be 10, but I'm curious where on the 10 scale that would sit.
7.5 easily.
All right. I'm with you. I'm with you. And it's actually,
I mean, I could go 10.
Okay. I could go 10 too. I could, based on my observations.
Yeah. And also in terms of brain science and these interdisciplinary research that looks at neurobiology and psychology and sociology and anthropology.
Yep.
The brain is developing rapidly in that first year or 2 or 3. And if patterns in our relationship, like if a parent thinks that a child is supposed to bring them fulfillment and satisfaction before the adult parent is already a whole person themselves, then there's going to be some codependence going on where the pattern of relationships is already getting established in the brain networks. I mean, we have multiple structures. I mean, endless. We don't even know the half of it or a tenth of it with our brains. But if those patterns of relationships play out with elementary school friends, middle school friends, high school friends,
sure.
Until people start saying, I think I'll go to a therapist and figure some of this out. Yeah.
Every situation is different, but when you take disclaimer in the question I just posed to you, the 1 to 10, we're not talking about abusive relationships and reasons why somebody's got to get away. And this is not, we're just talking about relationship, partnership, marriage, whatever, that didn't, not working out, according to the other person. And then they gravitate towards somebody else. But what I'm hearing from you is it's by and large unresolved issues that we've identified before from your childhood, that you're looking for something, you're trying to figure things out, you haven't figured you out. So what do? You're like the shell at the bottom of the ocean, just rolling around until you find what you're looking for.
Yeah, when we should be the tide that's pushing the shell.
Good point.
Right? I mean, right? Like a lot of people say, well, I feel like a thermometer. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm this and that. And then, one day after all this work, I feel like I'm not the temperature going up and down. I am the thermometer.
The thermostat. I'm changing it as opposed to just living life. 1 minute I'm hot, 1 minute I'm cold. I have no control over it. I don't know what's going on. Now I'd like to turn the heat up a little bit. I want to turn it down a little bit, whatever it might be.
Yeah, the thermostat versus the up and down. Right.
Wow. Interesting that where this went today. Had no idea, but a lot of insight, confirmation. I think for all of us, realization, what's going on, why we do what we do. It seems to really trace back to our childhood. A lot of this, the majority of it.
Yeah. And that's not bad news.
No,
and
not
it doesn't mean that people are terrible parents. It's just that we're trying to make sense of the world around us as infants or children, and how we do that develops information networks, and we play it out until it doesn't help us anymore.
Yeah, and
we have to change.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent in the examples that we gave. It could be it could be a sibling. It could be whatever.
Absolutely. Siblings. It could be extended family. It could be just our culture. It's all sorts of things that happen in early years of our lives.
It could be a teacher said something to you when you were, 7 years old, and they meant well, but you took it a certain way. And now you have a feeling of not being good enough. You get married, you're in a relationship, and the other person says something, and it's never good enough. It's never good enough. And then starts the beginning of the end.
Absolutely. Right.
You are wonderful to talk with. I can see why you have so many great reviews and people love working with you, because I do. Your website is your name, right? Share that.
Yes. Susan Engel -LCSW.com. So it's SUSANENGEL-LCSW.com.
Which stands for Licensed Clinical Social Worker.
Yes.
Thank you for all the insight. It's the nice part about the way you work is you make it relatable. It's not very clinical, hard to understand. It is truly like talking to a friend. Really. It's your superpower. You're so disarming and easy to talk with.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Learned a lot over the last bunch of weeks, and I'm hoping another time we get together again.
I would hope so. Thank you, Steve.
Right. Thanks, Susie. We will be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.